This is Healthcare's Missing Logic podcast, episode number 114. Today, we're sharing with you our top 10 secrets to strong partnerships. Relationships are the linchpin in your personal and professional lives, so these partnership skills are critical. Don't miss it.
Welcome back to Healthcare's Missing Logic podcast. This is the only podcast that shows you how to leverage polarity intelligence, an essential competency for healthcare leaders, and the missing logic in healthcare, so you can create healthy, healing organizations and become a thriving, resilient, and unstoppable healthcare leader.
We are your hosts, Tracy Christofferson and Michelle Trosett. We've been best friends and colleagues for over 30 years. And during that time, we coached healthcare leaders across North America around how to create healthy, healing organizations.
Today, we coach healthcare leaders and leadership teams to live thriving, resilient, and balanced lives, combat burnout, and create the best places to give and receive care.
This podcast is for the unsung hero of healthcare, the healthcare leader. We want you to know we see you and we'll be here for you each week. In this podcast, we're going to challenge healthcare's industry norms, flip limiting beliefs, and share proven strategies so you can be your best self at work and at home, live and lead intentionally, and experience well-being and joy.
We are glad you are here and look forward to sharing the journey with you. If you aren't totally convinced this podcast is for you, just listen to a few episodes and convince yourself.
Hi.
Hi, everybody.
It's Healthcare's Missing Logic podcast, and it's Tracy.
And Michelle.
Yeah. You know, every once in a while, you got to shake things up. Don't you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we're shaking it up today.
Today, we are shaking it up big time. This is going to be a fun episode.
Oh, yeah. We're going to get to share like something that's
secrets. Secrets.
Yeah. Well, it's what makes us who we are.
Who doesn't like a good secret?
Oh, everybody likes
Let
a good
alone
secret.
10 of them.
And they like to tell secrets too.
Yeah.
Yep. And today, we're talking about partnerships, the power of partnerships. And I don't know, Michelle, they say, people are in relationship for a long time. They start to look like each other.
Could be us.
Could be us today. Yeah. If you're not looking on YouTube, we're wearing some very lovely striped, flowered shirts that are the same.
In fact, we now call them the flower shirts.
The flower shirts. And we bought them 2 years ago.
We bought these 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And we're wearing them for the first time.
Yep. We've been waiting for the right opportunity.
That's right.
And this is it.
Yeah.
So here you
So
go.
imagine us best friends shopping at this lovely boutique shop that we love.
Yeah.
And finding these two shirts, which are in our Missing Logic colors, and holding them up and just busting out laughing. And even though we don't like the shirts, we had to buy them.
Yeah. We got to have them.
So we're wearing them today.
Yeah. Not bad.
We are wearing them today.
Maybe the only time we wear them. But we're wearing them. They were on sale.
It's
so
a
we got a good
bonding
deal.
moment. It's a bonding moment.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so today's podcast, we're bringing something forward that we actually talked about at our epic milestone 100th episode.
Mm-hmm.
And during that episode, when we had our husbands join us, we talked about just how powerful strong partnerships are and what we've learned about them as best friends, business partners, with our husbands. Yep. And we're just big believers. Strong partnerships make life much easier.
Oh, so much easier.
So much easier.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. And
we've been blessed.
We have been blessed. We've been so blessed. And we offered at the end of that episode on our podcast, our top 10 secrets of having strong partnerships. So we thought, hey, let's do a podcast on it.
Yeah. Because it's really a fundamental, right, to everything in our lives. Relationships are. And we actually did an episode, I think episode 50 was on healthy relationships and the principles of healthy relationships. And we were really blessed, young, leaders to work in an organization that embraced the principles of healthy relationships and where we learn them, because you don't learn this stuff typically right at home. You know, the relationships you have and what you know about relationships when you're a kid is what you're exposed to in your own environment, right? Whatever environment that is. And so you kind of think this is how everybody is. This is what relationships look like, right? And then you get exposed to other families, other people, and how they relate to each other. And there's there's not like a class in school or something around how to be in a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
So we got exposed. We were fortunate to be exposed and be a part of an organization that really committed to healthy relationships and the principles of healthy relationships and living them and really weaving them into the fabric of the organization. And I really will say, I think I have the marriage I have because of that. Mm-hmm. I would have never known those things or never known how to be a partner like that without it.
Yeah, I agree as well. I agree as well. Yeah. And so would my husband, actually.
Yeah, and mine too.
He will tell you, I used to come home in those early days learning all this, and he's like, what?
Yeah.
But he totally embraces it and understands it now, the importance of all of these principles. Yeah. So we know that you're going to find these very helpful today. Yeah. And we want you to think about your own relationships, both personal and professional, as we talk to you about our own journey on developing strong partnerships and our top 10 secrets about them as well.
Ooh, here we go.
Here we go.
So we know the value of having strong, healthy relationships, to achieve really, well-being, work-life balance. And we've heard over and over from healthcare leaders, and we've experienced it in our past too, right? That not being on the same page can be extremely stressful, and there can be a lot of friction, and it's just plain uncomfortable, right? And we've seen it.
We have.
We've seen the not healthy relationships, right? Not good partnerships unfold in front of our eyes. And so today we want to release the full power of strong partnerships and what that means. And I think it's just going to be, it's not to be taken for granted. It's not hard to have a strong partnership. It just takes intention.
Takes intention.
And so you can't take it for granted. And you want to also just really leverage it as the advantage that it truly is in your life when you have a strong partnership.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we know it's no secret that Tracy and I have a heart for healthcare leaders because we really, really do.
We love you.
We do. We love you. And especially now, because leaders have been through so much for the last 15 months, and we've been bringing that, we've been saying that, who's looking at the leaders, who's paying attention to the leaders. And so we just really have empathy around that and everything that you've been dealing with. And we also understand that you might be feeling a little underappreciated right now after everything that you've carried out. And just working long hours, having to have your mind filled with so many different ways to navigate through the pandemic. And then at the same time, you're managing things at home. And with your personal life, and there's all kinds of different dynamics there for people with working at home and having to, if you had small children at home, having to make sure that they had everything they needed for school. So just a tremendous amount has been happening in the last year and a half.
It's been extremely stressful. Prolonged periods of stress.
Prolonged.
At home and at work, right? So that's really, really challenging. And but along the way, you may have found some colleagues or, friends or different people, right, that you really have found to be great partners, right? And I think there's something that brings you together when you're experiencing a crisis, right? I think the very best of you comes forth, because you move into a shared purpose, trying to, move through it together, right? And it will either make you or break you, probably, right? Like most crises either make you or break you in a relationship, I would say. And especially during just these stressful times, right? So oftentimes there's that camaraderie, there's a deepening of a relationship as you go through something like this. So we certainly hope that you have found some strong partners. And what we really believe is the leaders have been the unsung heroes in the whole pandemic. Because we know behind every clinician has been a leader holding them up and trying to manage all of the things so that those clinicians can deliver the care to the patients and the communities, right? And we know that, there's still a lot of change that's going to emerge and continue as we move through this post-pandemic era, right?
Right.
And it's not over. And we want to make sure that, you're equipped too in the aftershocks, right? In the aftermath of the pandemic, right? Partnerships and relationships are going to be really important.
And just to add to that, Tracy, there's going to be something else coming around the corner.
Always has been, always will be.
There always will be, right? There's always going to be something else. And we say that with experience. Like you get through one thing and then there's going to be something else. That's just the way life is. And we also know that the unsung hero needs support and strong relationships at home too. So it's not just in the work environment, it's also at home.
Yeah. And, if you haven't had exposure to what these kinds of partnerships look like, or if you've been unfortunate and haven't had one,
yeah,
right, then you need somebody to help kind of guide you and give you some pointers around what that looks like and what it can be and how you can have it. And that's what we're here to do, right? So we know that, the challenges, while you value strong teams at work, that you want and need support at home as well, and your relationships at home are important. It's not always the thing that's given the attention. And so sometimes we underestimate the importance of it and we put our attention on other things. And that can really have negative connotations for you and a negative outcomes. And, the other thing is sometimes too, you might prefer productivity. I do. Michelle helps me to, balance productivity and relationships all the time because I prefer to just be productive, do the stuff, right? It's not my preference poll, so to speak. So I have to be very intentional about it, right? And so that may be the case too for some of you, right? They just prefer to be busy, to be doing, not necessarily relating. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just knowing that you have to be intentional and you have to take some different steps and, just be more accountable to the other side of it, right? Mm-hmm. And then the other thing can be too that, you might not even know what to do. It's not that you don't value having a strong relationship, but you just might not even know how to develop the skills or how to engage in a strong partnership with somebody, right? And so that can be something that you've got going on. But the other thing, too, is you can kind of think it's like fluffy. You might have a limiting belief that relationships are the fluffy stuff, the soft stuff, right? And that can become a problem, right? And you can not prioritize them because of that.
Yeah.
And we've experienced that.
Oh, yeah. We've seen that thinking.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We've seen it.
Yeah. Can we just not do that part?
Yeah.
We would be consultants in organizations. And they would go, yeah, we like all this other stuff around the EHR, but can we just not do this? We don't need to do this other part, right? That's kind of soft stuff. We don't need that.
That's the people stuff.
Yeah, we don't need that. We don't need that relationship and dialogue stuff.
All right. We are about halfway through this episode of Healthcare's Missing Logic podcast. And we want to take a moment to share that we are very excited about a new program we've released. Let's face it, you and your teams have been through some incredibly stressful times, and it's challenging to know how to support the team and still take care of yourself in the process. We help healthcare leaders become thriving, resilient, and unstoppable leaders. We've recently created a new self-study program titled Caring for Others Without Neglecting You. In this self-study, you will begin to develop polarity intelligence to leverage the tension in your life and create your own personalized strategy for balancing caring for your team and you. Go over to missinglogic.com/new-events to learn more and enroll today. Well, I'll tell you, we've had some amazing stories of organizations that had the courage to do the soft stuff and to do the people stuff. And I remember working with this large healthcare system out in the Northeast. And I bet you, Tracy, it was about 5 years after we had spent a lot of time with their culture work implementing a massive EHR rollout that I ran into the CIO at an executive forum. And he looked right at me and he said, you know what? The smartest thing we did was the relationship work and the partnership council infrastructure that your team put in. Without a doubt, it would not have been as successful without that.
Yeah. And I think what was unique is that it was about partnership.
It was about partnership.
It wasn't just about practice.
Right.
Which many organizations do, right? They implement unit-based councils or shared governance councils, and it's a lot around practice and, owning your professional practice and being engaged and, making decisions and things like that, which is all really
good.
important.
It's all good.
It's all necessary. But oftentimes they don't emphasize the relationship, the communication pieces,
the partnership,
was something that was different that we did.
Yeah.
And it changed the culture is what it did. It was really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was my favorite stuff.
Mine too.
Yeah. My favorite stuff.
Mine too.
So, if you've been listening to us for a while and even just today, you can tell relationships are important. I mean, it's not my preference. Doesn't mean it's not important to me, right? It's one of my values, my top values. We say relationships are everything, right? After Meg Wheatly, right?
Relationships are everything.
They're everything. They are. And everything is in relationship to everything else. That's how important they are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we thought we'd share our best kept secrets with you. We kind of revealed them a little bit earlier, but we thought doing a whole show on it would be fun. And so these are the lessons that we've learned over the years, the things that have, kind of been revealed to us as we have developed. We've had some challenging relationships. That's how you become a strong partner, right?
Yeah.
You persevere, you move through it, you learn what you need to learn, and you keep moving forward. And, so in our friendship as best friends, and our marriages, in our partnerships with others and the teamwork that we've done over the years, these are all things that we've kind of compiled into kind of our 10 greatest
Lots
lessons.
of years of experience wrapped up into these 10 top secrets.
Yep.
And what's important to know is that healthy relationships are also elements of both of our frameworks, the dynamic balance effect framework, and also the healthy healing organization framework. I mean, relationships, like to Tracy's point, they're everything, they're everywhere. So they're really extremely important. And having strong relationships is key.
Key. Strong partnerships.
That's right.
The way to do it.
So what we're going to do is we're going to take the David Letterman approach.
For those of you who know who that is, he's been off the airwaves for a while.
He has. But he had a late night show and he would do the top 10 and hold up his little cards. Yep. And he would always send, and the number 1, and there was a drum roll.
Yeah. So here we go.
We're going to go backwards. We're going to start with 10 and work our way up.
Yep.
So these are our top 10 secrets to strong partnerships again. So I'm going to start with number 10. And one of our secrets is to always keep your energy high. And what we've noticed is that when you bring high energy into a relationship, positive energy, it has a tremendous impact. And you want to be around people that energize you and not people that drain you. So keeping good vibes and high energy alive is really, really important. And also you have to have a lot of laughter.
Well, that keeps your energy high.
That keeps your energy high, right?
Yes, it does.
So it's really important to have humor and laughter in a strong partnership. And man, can we laugh?
Yeah. Well, you can't have a strong partnership with somebody who's sucking the life out of you.
No, you can't.
Right? Thank God you don't do that.
That's for sure.
That's right.
That's for sure.
Number 9, learn together, right? So you can grow together in all aspects of life, right? It's just really important to be open to learning with and from each other and from the circumstances that you're in, the situations that you face, and then apply those individually, collectively, to really get the maximum results, no matter what it is in your marriage, in your family, in your work. It's really important.
Yes. Number 8, forgive yourself and each other. So in strong partnerships, you don't hold grudges. And you know what? We're all human. We all fall short of what we say we're going to do, or we fall short in just different circumstances. Things happen. But you know what? You just move on. You just forgive. And we know it's important, not only forgiving each other, but also yourself. You just got to let go and move on. We're just, okay, move on.
Yeah. You got to love yourself.
Love yourself.
Right? You got to be your own best friend.
Yeah.
And give yourself a hug when you miss the mark. It's okay.
Move forward, love and grace.
Exactly. Well, number 7 is show gratitude. So everything we do, we begin with gratitude. That's one of our core values in our business is to start with gratitude. Gratitude for everything, no matter how small it is, doesn't matter what it is. It's, just expressing that gratitude to those that you're privileged to serve, to those that you work with, to your family, your husbands, your partners, whatever. Just, always show gratitude because there's always something to be grateful for.
Always.
And in your partnerships, when you can be grateful for each other, grateful for what's happening around you, then, again, it just makes your relationship stronger, your partnership stronger.
Really important one. And number 6 is establish mutual goals. So this really helps any partnership too, because you're both working from the same page and you're kind of going in the same direction, which helps.
Yeah.
Doesn't help when you start veering off and going in different directions, but it also helps just to set processes in place where you're checking in with each other, you're evaluating your progress, and very importantly, that you celebrate your wins.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we do this on a 90-day cycle, and an annual cycle for goal setting. And we also work with our coaching students on the same process.
Yeah.
So
it's really important. Set goals and celebrate.
Yay.
Yeah. Number 5 is check in with each other. Okay. Like you got to be on the same page. You got to do this regularly.
Yep.
And, at scheduled times and also then whenever it's needed. Like we have a same page meeting at the end of every month, Michelle and I, just to make sure we're on the same page as partners in our business, as friends. We check in every Monday on how we're doing with work-life balance. We check in with our husbands, weekly.
Yeah.
So it's, just staying connected and keeping the communication open and just checking in on how things are going and giving the opportunity for just feedback and conversation about anything that might not be going well and celebrating the things that are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Back to the celebrations.
Back to the celebrations. Number 4, keep your foundation clean. So this is all about bringing little issues forward right away so they don't turn into big issues, right? And this is something that my husband and I adapted in our marriage on our second date, and we started calling it foundation management, and it's worked great, and Tracy and I use it in our business. Yep. So it's just that whole notion that if something's bugging you, don't hold back. Bring it when it's small and then even name it. So her and I together will say, okay, I got to do some foundation management here. And we just bring that voice. Yeah. And I'll tell you, it doesn't happen very often because you're doing it.
Well, you're
applying
doing it all the time.
You're doing it all the time.
Well, it creates a safe place.
It does.
I think that's what's beneficial about that. It's about safety. And in strong partnerships, you feel safe so that you can bring those things, right?
And just having a strong foundation is so important. Anything can grow from a strong foundation.
Exactly. And that's what strong partnerships end up being, right, for the rest of your life too, is the foundation.
That's right.
To build on.
Yep.
So number 3 is communicate effectively. Oh my gosh. Communication is so critical, right? It's just so critical. And it's really critical from a speaking the truth piece. You need to be able to communicate, of course, effectively, get your ideas, your points across and listen. Communication is not just telling, it's listening, right? But it's also about candor and diplomacy. And it's knowing when to be just very candid. And it kind of goes back to the foundation piece, right? If you're candid, just telling it like it is from your perspective, right? Then you're not covering anything up. You're not sugarcoating. You're just telling it like it is for you from your perspective and being open to hearing from somebody else. And then there's times to be a little bit diplomatic. Like our husbands, I think, are really good at being diplomatic.
They're good at being diplomatic?
Diplomatic, yeah.
Or candid?
Well, I think they're good at being diplomatic at different times. When it's necessary for us, right?
Yeah.
Like when you think about, how would I look, honey?
Okay, I got you.
They're really good with you look great, babe. You never look better. They got that one nailed down, right?
That's true.
They know how to fluff our feathers and make us feel good. But it is important. And it goes back again, like I said, to the foundation management. Just be candid. Know when to be candid and when to be diplomatic.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh, and number 2, we're getting close to the top. Number 2 is live in your strengths. So we're big believers in this, and it definitely impacts your partnerships when you just know how your partner, how your colleagues are wired, because all of us have naturally born strengths, and it doesn't do any good to have people, to not recognize it, not to bring out the best of them, and know how to leverage their strengths. So we think you should do that and leverage them exceptionally well. And we have some same strengths, but we have a lot of different strengths, and we know how to leverage them. And we actually have set up our business on this model as well. Like we have divided things up based on what are your strengths, what are my strengths. And it just makes things easier when you're not doing something you're not good at, and we're not emphasizing the weaknesses, but we're celebrating and leveraging the strengths.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just critical. And you feel so much better in your partnership when you're working from your strengths, right?
So much better.
You have a different energy about you than when you're trying to sludge through something that is not your strength. That's a real downer.
It is.
And number 10. Be intentional. Surprise.
There's that word again.
Be intentional. It's like our mantra. But really, it is so true. You really need to be intentional in everything you do, every conversation, every meeting, every encounter, everything that you do. If you start with intention, you can't go wrong. Really, you can't go wrong because you're coming from a heartfelt place, a place of positivity, a place of openness. And I think it really makes a huge difference. And even in the harder conversations, even in the tougher times, strong partnerships have hard times too. You're not immune to it, right? You have fewer of them because you have a strong partnership. But even in those more difficult times that you're facing, if you come from a place of intention and you state, I've always found the best tip is to state, this is my intention. This is why I'm bringing this, or why I'm saying this, or why I feel this. This is where I'm coming from. So just to know, this is to move forward. This is not to blame or judge or whatever it is that you're doing. I just think that helps so much. It
helps so much.
To state your intention so that nobody can question what it is, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They understand it. That's a big one.
So your call to action after watching or listening to this podcast episode is just pick one relationship at work and one relationship, personally or at home, and just practice these 10 secrets. And I think you'll be amazed to see what happens when you just really are intentional about that. And you can download the 10 tips from our show notes so that you can have them in front of you. And, it'll help you be intentional. And we even think they're a little bit refrigerator worthy. You can hang them on your refrigerator, hang them on your mirror.
Yeah. Put them where you'll see them all the time.
Put them where you see them.
Put them in front of your desk.
Put them on your bulletin board.
Exactly. Hey, reminders. We all need reminders. Exactly. Yeah. So, it's hard, if not impossible, to be a thriving, resilient, unstoppable leader without strong partnerships.
Exactly.
Because you can't hold the world up alone, right? Like you need partnerships, you need strong partnerships to really help you do your work and make the difference that you want to make in the world. Nobody does that all alone. And it's easy to fall into kind of a pattern of, I don't have time, right? I can't prioritize spending time with this person, or you fill in the blank, right? You can get into that circumstance-driven place. And the reality is you can't afford not to. You can't afford not to spend the time developing your relationships and creating strong partnerships with your peers, at home, in your communities, wherever it is, whatever really matters, right?
Yep. So now just imagine life 6 to 12 months from now, and every conversation is easy peasy.
Easy peasy.
Your strengths are maximized. You're just really thriving. You're able to communicate with perfect balance of candor and diplomacy, and you're cheering each other on all the time. Woo, 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 go, go, go. Just is a huge, huge difference.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. And I just think, it's been, it's a journey. Developing strong partnerships is really a journey. And I think like going back to, learning these principles, learning how to be in a partnership, my husband and I, we're not always perfect at it, right? But it's about going on the journey together and having that intention.
Yep.
And, being candid and saying what needs to be said and having that strong foundation. And I think we've just role modeled that, I think, for our children as well, right? Just trying to help them to see what that's like to be able to, have the candid conversations and be who you need to be together.
Yeah.
And what that looks like in a marriage.
Right. Well, Kevin and I have been very intentional how we show up too. Like we've really recognized that's really important for other people, to show role model to your point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really important. So, if you're not fully convinced that having a strong partnership is the best way to be the best version of you, then, go ahead, implement these tips and prove it to yourself.
Yeah, prove it to yourself.
You can do that. You can do that.
This is fun. Thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thanks for joining us, and stay healthy and safe and strong.
See you next time.
See ya.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Healthcare's Missing Logic podcast, now a top-rated podcast for healthcare leaders. Please share this podcast with other healthcare leaders and anyone else you think would benefit. We are certain that if you found value in it, they will too. If you haven't already done so, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any episodes. And also, it would mean the world to us if you took a quick moment to leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast player. It helps to get the word out about our podcast and incredible guests. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to watch our podcasts. You can also follow us on our Missing Logic social media channels, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Until next time.